Chapter 468, Q&A Game. Église Saint-Robert's old cemetery had once served as Fourth Epoch Trier's node for the seal. However, leaks had occurred, allowing the ancient dead to crawl out. Angoulême carefully considered the information and felt that there might be hidden dangers lurking beneath Salle de Balbrise. He returned to the office and fixed his gaze on the piece of paper pinned to the wall. The paper not only clearly detailed Hidden Blade's previous inquiry about the old cemetery's secret, but also provided the circumstances under which she had made the inquiry. This was all part of their investigation into the sick church case. Their goal was to uncover the reasons behind the unusual quietness of Trier's heretics and their activities, as though they had gone into hiding for some massive endeavor. Hidden Blade suspects that the old cemetery's secret is somehow linked to the heretics' plans. They aim to use the former leakage point to bypass the seal and open the door to Fourth Epoch Trier. Angoulême, with his experience, immediately connected the dots. Entering the telegraph room, he informed the higher-ups of his theory and made a recommendation. Send 1 or 2 teams underground to investigate the original leakage point as soon as possible, preferably led by Saints. After sending the telegram, Angoulême breathed a sigh of relief. His next task was to assemble his team and coordinate with the police, military police, and army to prevent the protests from escalating into riots before dawn. This process would inevitably lead to clashes with members of the Iron and Blood Cross Order and the Carbonari. Beyonders would also be involved. Additionally, as 7, Angoulême needed to find an opportunity to contact Hidden Blade and share the secret of the old cemetery with her. There was no more time for casual chats in the Telegram group. He had to activate their prearranged practical approach. Apartment 601, 3 Rue des Blouses Blanches. Seal is missing too. After informing Madame Judgment and Demoness of Black about Gardner Martin's abnormality, Franca returned to the market district, only to realize that Jenna, who should have been asleep in bed, had vanished. Before she could inspect the house, Anthony Reed, with his buzz cut, visited late at night and reported that Lumion had mysteriously vanished. There were no signs of a fight at the scene. Yes, Anthony Reed was even more certain that something was amiss. It wasn't Lumion switching to a safe house for sleep. There are no signs of a struggle here either. Franca walked to the guest bedroom door and looked at the lifted blanket. She could tell that Jenna had taken her time before leaving. Not only had she removed her pajamas and changed into her female mercenary attire, but she hadn't messed up the bedroom. Franca furrowed her brow, pondering the possible reasons. Although she knew this was a serious matter, she still habitually complained inwardly, "Why does it seem like my girlfriend ran off with my boyfriend?" Amidst her thoughts, she remembered that Jenna hadn't handed over the grayish-white cloth bag she had obtained from the cyborg monk to the strange boy, Will. Franca immediately turned her gaze to the coffee table, recalling that it had originally been there. Seeing the grayish-white cloth bag vanish, the Demoness of Pleasure heaved a sigh of relief. Jenna must have been notified by the strange boy, Will, to deliver the mission item somewhere and collect the corresponding reward. And why did Seal disappear? Could it be that Will's request was for Seal to accompany her? Yes, after all, he was invited by Seal's Major Arcana card holder, Madame Magician. Doesn't seem like a terrible thing. Anthony Reed keenly sensed Franca's change in state. So far, that's the case. Franca produced a palm-sized mirror. I'll use magic mirror divination to confirm. She retrieved Jenna's pajamas and caressed the mirror with her free hand. Simultaneously, she recited in Hermes, Celia Bellows' current location, Celia Bellows' current location. Although the name, Jenna, could also be used for divination, as Jenna had been using this stage name for a long time, and most people around her called her that, Franca felt that it would be more accurate to use her real name at a time like this. In the gaslit living room of the apartment, the lights dimmed, and the environment became oppressive. The mirror's surface emitted an aqueous light, as if it had sunk into the depths of a river. However, Franca saw nothing. Snowflakes kept appearing in the mirror like noise. The divination yielded no results. Franca frowned again. Could it be because of the presence of the strange boy, Will? However, after handing over the mission item and obtaining the lucky gold coin, Jenna should have separated from Will. They shouldn't have been together for more than 5 minutes. Theoretically, it can't be such a coincidence. Franca was cautious. We'll try again in 5 minutes. Anthony Reed nodded gently and asked, "Do you need me to go to Auberge du Coq Doré and retrieve one of Seal's clothes?" "No need," Franca shook her head without hesitation. "That fellow bears Mr. Fool's seal and the aura of the Blood Emperor. It would be strange if I could gain anything from divination." Time ticked by, and finally, 5 minutes passed. Franca used the simple magic mirror divination to inquire about Jenna's location once again. There was still no answer, and no scene appeared. "That's not right." Franca immediately switched to the complete magic mirror divination form of praying to certain entities. In the dark mirror, an aged voice echoed, accompanied by the sound of water. "Celia Bello is in an undetectable location." Undetectable, Franca began to feel that the problem might be more complicated and troublesome than she had guessed, so she asked, "Where is Lumion Lee now?" Amidst the sound of water, the aged voice replied, I can't see. The voice gradually faded into confusion and disorder. Franca hastily ended magic mirror divination. She paced back and forth, feeling that she had to report this matter to Madame Judgment. But before that, Franca clenched her teeth and said to Anthony Reed, "I want to use magic mirror divination to pray to an unknown and hidden entity. The results of his divination are the most precise. Perhaps it can help us obtain an answer, but you have to swear to the god of steam and machinery not to divulge everything you hear later." "No problem." Anthony, clad in military green attire, gestured a triangular sacred emblem on his chest. After Anthony swore an oath to the deity he believed in, Franca didn't hesitate. She lit 3 candles in a ritualistic manner and extinguished the gas wall lamps in the room. In the dim light, her right hand caressed the mirror's surface 3 times as she recited an honorific name in Hermes. "Eyes that watch all living beings, the stigmata from the primordial land, the omniscient one who serves the fool, the great Erodes." The glass of the makeup mirror darkened, fluctuating and enshrouding at times, emitting aqueous light. As a psychiatrist, Anthony Reed suddenly felt a strong sense of unease, as if a pair of eyes had scanned him from top to bottom. Franca finished her preparations and asked, "Where is my friend, Celia Bello, now?" In the mirror, an aqueous light flickered, revealing an image. It was a mine that was too blurry to see the details clearly. Immediately after, the scene shifted, revealing a portion of Avenue du Marché. Franca recognized it immediately as the Salle de Bal Brise area, but the building didn't exist. Instead, it was replaced by a dark and crystal-like barrier. Jenna, dressed in a light blue dress, stood beside the barrier, her expression solemn as she observed an unrevealed part of the scene. Beside her was a figure suspected to be Lumion. As expected, there together, where is this place? Just as these thoughts crossed Franca's mind, she saw a few lines of ancient Faesac words dripping with blood appear on the mirror. Based on the principle of reciprocity, it's my turn to ask a question. If you answer incorrectly or lie, you will be punished. Franca closed her eyes, waiting for the question to be raised. The blood-red letters formed another sentence. Have you ever fantasized about doing Trarian's favorite activity with Jenna? Thankfully, Franca breathed a sigh of relief. The shame of this question depended on Jenna's presence. If she were present, Franca would rather slam her head against a wall. But now, there was only one psychiatrist watching. Is there a problem with telling a psychiatrist that I have a psychological problem, and like women, my good friend, so much so that I want to do that with her? Franca couldn't help but blush, but she replied smoothly, I did. Anthony Reed, who was observing, wasn't surprised at all. As a spectator, if he didn't discover Franca's abnormal feelings and thoughts about Jenna, it could only mean that he wasn't up to standard. He hadn't expected Franca to be relatively calm and not ashamed. Franca then asked the magic mirror, where is the Avenue du Marché where Jenna currently is? This time there was no scene in the magic mirror. Instead, bright red terms appeared. A world in a painting. A world in a painting painter, Pixie. Franca immediately made a connection and a guess. On the mirror's surface, bloody words distorted and squirmed, forming new words. Based on the principle of reciprocity, it's my turn to ask a question. Have you ever fantasized about doing Trarian's favorite activity with Lumion Lee? Franca's face burned. She could feel the temperature rising. I haven't. She subconsciously wanted to respond, but then she remembered the pain of being struck by lightning. She gazed at the magic mirror, striving to forget that there was a psychiatrist beside her. Her lips quivered as she replied, I have. Sometimes, just occasionally, I can't control myself in my dreams. Anthony Reed didn't allow his gaze to shift to Franca's face, nor did he allow his expression to change. It was as if what he saw and heard was ordinary. This was the basic professionalism of a psychiatrist. Franca hurriedly concluded magic mirror divination and entered the master bedroom. She organized information on Lumion, Jenna's disappearance, and the magic mirror divination's response into written information and reported it to Madame Judgment. After completing this matter and returning to the living room, she was about to discuss the situation with Anthony Reed when she heard a rumbling sound from the northwest of Trier. It was as if multiple cannons were firing.